All right. Welcome to Romero Records virtual cast. Today we have on Eddie. How's it going, Eddie?
Everything is great. How are you today?
I'm doing well. So DeAndre got me to talk to you, and he had some great things to say about you. So I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, let's have him on. Are you where are you from?
So I'm actually from New Orleans. Born and raised there. Moved to Texas in 2011. Now I'm here. Been here since.
Okay, got you. Yeah, with DeAndre, he knows so many people, and they're like from different spots, so I never know. But it's great to have somebody on that he knows, and I had Bomani on um, not too long ago, so it's awesome to just to get to know the people, like where he's from and stuff like that. So you've got your own business that you are dabbling in with different things. Can you just let me know uh, exactly what you're doing, how you got started, and all everything like that.
Yes, yes. So I have a staffing and recruiting firm. It's called Level Up Staffing. It's pretty funny how I got into this because that was far, far, far away from where I was originally going, the direction I was originally going. So I started off wanting to start a food truck company.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I was getting set up for that because I love to cook. From New Orleans, I love to cook, and that was what I was set up for. I had obtained my bachelor's degree, and I was working on my master's at the time. And I noticed like all of the things that were required for the food truck, it was going to take a whole lot of capital and a whole lot of permitting and a lot of things of that nature. So I said, you know what? I'd rather start off somewhere smaller and then work my way up to the food truck. And took a whole nother turn and went to automotive. So I was going to start a car dealership
Oh wow.
because I really love cars. I really love cars, and I customize them, I fix them up, and everything. So I was gonna start that, and I actually purchased the vehicle. I had an Audi A6 originally that I had started doing the interior on and fixing it up because I had planned on doing a raffle for that car and using that as something to kind of get my name out there first, but also something to get purchase a little few more cars with to start off. And I started gaining a lot of traction around this raffle that I was doing with this Audi A6 because I had customized the interior really, really well. It was red and black. And the car though on the outside was kind of wrecked. And I was just like, man, I was gonna like I had to get the outside fixed. So I ended finding this Audi A8 that somebody was selling for $1,500 or something like that. The shocks, the suspension was out on it, and I'm very familiar with that because I purchased a few Mercedes that needed the suspension change. So I was like, I could upgrade this whole little joint right now,
Yeah.
and I ended up getting that Audi, and I sold the Audi A6 for more than I purchased the A8 for, and I just took that. I fixed the suspension on it. I put some nice rims on it, customized the interior. The body was in perfect condition. The seats and everything was in perfect condition. Had low miles. So long story short, I was about to start this raffle process, and then I found out that raffling is like gambling, and that's illegal in Texas. So so yeah, somebody brought it to my attention, and I had already generated all of this interest in it because I had planned on selling these tickets for a very low price, just to get that interest in it. And so when I found out about that, I was like, man, crap, that's not a good idea. Let me just sell this car. And when I went to sell it, I found out that the person who sold it to me, they did something to get it to where it looked like it had a clear title on it whenever I first purchased it, but ended up finding out that the car had a $20,000 lien on it.
Oh my God.
Yes.
What?
So at that point, I was real turned off by the car industry thing because I was like, this is a very shady business, and I'm not into doing that to people. And it happened to me, so I was just like, I never want to do that to anyone, so I don't want to do this.
Hmm.
And I happened to be sitting down at the table one day doing my schoolwork for my master's, and someone texted me. So I was a safety manager at a company, and I had a safety committee there where I conducted leadership training, etc. And one of the guys who was one of my proteges, he actually took me up on my leadership training, and he was telling me that he wanted to work as a forklift repairman at a company called Malin. And I actually I started asking him about his skills and his experience, and he had never worked on a forklift before. Then it's like, but he loved to work on cars.
Hmm.
So I took his resume and I transferred his skills from working on cars to how it can fit into working on forklifts, and created his resume. He submitted it, got an interview with the company that he really, really wanted. Once he got the interview, I actually coached him through the interview process, and he ended up getting the job.
Nice.
Fast forward a few months later, he texts me while I'm at the table doing my schoolwork, and he says, "Bro, I can't thank you enough. You don't know how you impacted my family and changed our lives. You don't even know, and I just appreciate you." And when he said that, I felt so much joy, and I said, "This is what I want to do." It was like a light bulb went off,
Mm.
and that is how I came to establishing a staffing recruiting agency, because I wanted to help people use the skills that they have and transfer those skills to getting the job that they want.
Yeah.
For example, I could barber. If a barber wants to work in the office, I could take a barber and transfer his skills into office skills, and get him the job he wants in the office. Because for a barber, it'll be attention to detail, customer service, managing appointments, and data entry. All of those things are aspects of barbering that you could transfer into the office.
Yeah.
So actually do things. I started doing things like that, but that's how I came to establishing Level Up Staffing. So now, present day, because I started this in June of last year, but I did not get like deep into it or focused on it until I had finished my degree in October.
Mm.
And that same month, when I started focusing on it, I got a contract from one of my previous employers. So I had established a relationship well enough that they trusted me to provide people for them
Yeah.
to get on. So anyway, long story short, I ended up getting that contract, and now present day, that was 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Present day, I have jobs in 9 different states, and am still currently actively hiring people and putting people to work.
That's
Um,
incredible.
yeah. So I had a guy yesterday, and yesterday was actually one of the recent success stories. There was a guy yesterday that called looking for a job, has been having problems finding a job because of his background. No one would give him an opportunity, and literally, I tell this guy, "Hey, well, you'll be working for me," and I'm able to give him an opportunity. And that actually was something that just brought back to home why I started this whole thing in the first place. Because the look on this guy's face and how he responded, there is not an amount of money at all that could replace knowing that you made an impact on somebody's life.
Yeah.
We ended up here.
That's crazy. I mean, for somebody who, that wasn't your plan. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to create that emotional attachment to, success and what you deemed as success. At first you thought it was the food truck, and then you went to the vehicles, and now what you're doing right now, it's, everybody's got their own definition of success. Everybody believes,
Mhm.
whatever money or financial status, everybody's got their different definition. But when you were like, oh, I can change somebody's life by just
Yeah.
helping them get a job,
Uh-huh.
that's pretty special. So when you, I guess, you said you helped the first person, the light bulb went off, were you nervous, or were you just like, oh, I got this?
Yeah, it felt natural. It felt like I had found my calling. And I always, I used to have conversations with my friends weeks prior to all of that. I've always kept around people who are intellectual and could talk about things,
Yeah.
just break them down. And we used to have conversations at 3 o'clock in the morning. We're sitting around talking about what is our purpose and how do we find our purpose in life and things of that nature. And I always struggle with, like, is that really real? Like, do you really have a purpose, or do you actually create your purpose? And so I struggled with that for a while because I was leaning on the side of, you can create your purpose. Like, you tell yourself what you want to do and provide to the world.
Mhm.
That's what I. But when this happened, like you said, I was so gung ho on cars. Like, I've been doing that since I lived in New Orleans. Like,
Mm.
that was my thing. I just knew cars would be my thing, and I love to cook, and I just thought that was also my thing. I thought, you know what, cars, food, meals on wheels. So I just knew that was gonna be my thing. But it turned out, like, when that light bulb hit, I was so excited because I felt like, dang, you just found your purpose.
Mm.
Just like, and that's how I felt, just like that.
So speaking of that, what you first were bringing up, when you first contacted me, you told me to get on Clubhouse, and so
Mhm.
I honestly, I've looked at it a few times, and I know some people like I've done some work with Fraser Boy, and he's on there, and he's been posting a lot. Let's see, who else? The London Blue. He's a
Mhm.
beat producer. He's been on there a good bit, and I've just seen these people in the music industry that have been connecting, but haven't really dabbled in it a lot. I'm sure there's tons of business people out there.
Oh,
What
yeah.
have you been doing or seeing on Clubhouse that has made it work for you?
So the biggest thing is the opportunities to network.
Okay.
I actually started when I started on it, I was just taken back because I'm not someone that could just go out and just talk to a bunch of strangers,
Hmm.
off the whim. And Clubhouse is set up to, you just literally go into a room and you talking with strangers, and some of these strangers are 8-figure, 10-figure earners.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and so they actually host these rooms: how to operate $1 million business, how to invest, how to establish business credit, uh, following the stock market. They have all of these different rooms there that can literally just feed whatever it is that you're trying to do to grow yourself.
hmm.
Um, so what I ended up doing is I got on one of those networking groups. It was like network and introduce your business. And they had like 600 or 700 people in the room. And I was very nervous. Uh, and but I just jumped in it, and literally from me speaking in that room, I ended up gaining like 44 followers like in an hour on my business page on
Oh,
Instagram.
wow.
And 6 people reached out to me to help them find people for their businesses, like business owners.
Oh, wow.
And oh yeah, it's been very fruitful. Now I just mostly go on it and I would listen to what they're talking about because I do have a lot of other things going on. I started investing in cryptocurrency, and I also have done financial literacy classes with my kids who are 8 and 11. So getting them into saving and investing their money. And my son, he's starting a clothing line. It's
Oh,
called Lag. Yeah, it's called Lag Free Clothing. He's 8 years old. Started his own clothing line, and so I'm actually going on Clubhouse to gain information on all of that: the investing and saving, financial literacy, apparel, business marketing, and merchandising. I'm getting all of that from Clubhouse, and that's because they have all of those people on there who are virtual right now because of slow business or whatever, that's literally giving you the keys and nuggets to the success that they've acquired.
How do you like to learn? So you're saying you're on Clubhouse just talking to people, getting this information. But what else? Like, what other tools are you using? Is it like YouTube, or you just Google searching things, books? Like, how do you gain your knowledge on stuff?
I'm really a learn by doer.
Oh,
So I can sit there, and this is, I can't even make this up. Like, I'm on book number 40, 46. I started on in June of last year reading books, and I got to a point where I'm on a schedule now with the book reading,
uh,
and I'm on for 46. And out of those 46 books that I read, only one book stood out to me so far, and I kind of remembered every majority of it, and I was Thinking in Bets. But I'm saying all of that to say, when I watch videos and I read books and I go and get feedback from people, etc., I usually don't retain as much as opposed to when I just get out there and I just let go and see what happens. Because I feel like I learn the most through failure. That's my short response to your answer. I mean, to your question. I learned the most through failure. I like to fail because I grew from it and I learned my best lessons from from failing. So I jump. That's it.
yeah, and I think I'm the same way. Like, obviously we don't really love to fail, but we enjoy the process. We
Uh
enjoy
huh.
being able to
Mm-hmm.
see, that failure, being able to see like, oh, I did this wrong. Well, if I
Yep.
just fix that, then I'm good. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate the value of just doing, just trying, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding like, hey, if you mess up, just fix that mess up and then you're good. Like
Yeah.
you find a new skill, you'll find a new way to do things. And I don't know, I would probably say that's probably the best way I learn as well. I tend not to think too much before I do something because I'll think myself out of it. Like
Exactly.
yeah. Like I start thinking about it and I'm like, all right, I have to do this and do that. And then I'm like, oh, now I have to do this and then I got to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you just go and stop thinking, then, you tend to do better.
Yeah.
Um, so for your business, how many people are you staffing?
Right now, I have 30 people that work for me.
How
As
many did you
temp
start out with?
one.
You, it was you and somebody else, or was it just you for like a long time?
Oh yeah, I literally just hired another recruiter last week. So up until then, it was just me with all of those employees. They
Oh,
were temporary employees working at other companies. So yeah, I just hired somebody to do recruiting
mhm.
last week. So now it's me and one other person.
Dang.
Yeah.
So are you happy with where you're at right now? Does it seem like you paced yourself well, or does it seem like, oh man, this got big faster than I thought?
Yeah, it's both. Because I'm in these groups, these staffing groups and recruiting groups of new people getting into the industry, and a lot of times you'll see people saying, "Oh, I've been doing this for 6 months," or "I've been doing this for a year." Even I saw somebody, "I've been doing this for 2 years, and I still haven't gotten a contract."
Hmm.
I was very blessed to get uh, so far so soon, but as well as being blessed to get so far so soon, it actually caused me some setbacks too, because I was new. I've never done recruiting before. This is just something else. Like, man, I just want to help people. So I wasn't really savvy on the terminology and getting people with the right products, etc. So with that being said, I actually bombed my first contract. Uh, I Yeah, they wanted people, and I was sending them people and stuff, but like, these people sucked, to
Oh,
be quite frankly, and it was more, and it wasn't about and I hate to say it like that. So it's not that the people sucked; they just were not good fits
yeah,
for the company.
they weren't
And
compatible.
Yeah, and so that actually was making me. It made me look bad to the point where I literally was about to have a contract with this company where I was going to be servicing all of their plants in the U.S. They had 13.
Oh wow.
Because I sucked with that first contract, I lost that opportunity.
Whew.
Yeah, 13 plants.
Man.
You talking about 6 figures a month. I
Jeez.
lost the opportunity because I was brand new. I was fresh. They gave me an opportunity. I didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah.
and I went too fast because when I finally got in, when they told me, yeah, I got it, I went and reached out to those plants and I was like, hey, I'm in. What's good? And they said, well, we will use your service after we find out how good it is from that plant that you're servicing right now.
Mm.
And they had nothing but bad things to say. Yeah, I sucked when I first started. So,
That's crazy. But I mean, as we were just saying, like now you learned your lesson. You know,
hmm
you can put that in
hmm
the books. You can put that behind you, and then move forward. You know, you
oh yeah,
and a lot of times, like when you have that kind of failure, it it toughens your skin a little more.
well,
Now you can take those bullets a little harder, and you know you feel a little different. And also another thing about that, like you're willing to take more risk because
hmm yeah,
when you know, even if you're like a quarterback or a point guard, and if you're, you know, if you're shooting 12 for 12 on a night, you kind of hesitate to take that layup or take that 3-pointer because you've been perfect. So you don't want to screw up. But like if
yeah,
you've been screwing up, might as well just take another shot because
exactly.
just screw it, you know? But so yeah, that's pretty crazy. You know, you started out early with that bump in the road, and then so it just kind of, you know, it eases your pains, I guess, later
Yep,
on.
it does.
So what is something that I guess you do with your employees to help mentor them into getting, you know, the right people and stuff like that? I mean, you're probably going to use that example you just said to
Mhm.
guide them.
Right. And so, and now, what I do, because I wanted to go back to my roots, because when I got the contract, I'll be honest with you, I was just so excited to have it
Hmm.
that, and it was income. I was looking at the income aspect of it. I just wanted to send them people so that I could start getting paid or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so I lost sight of why I started it, and that backfired on me.
Mm.
um, wasn't sticking to my core values. And so now I'm more gung ho on making sure that I find the right candidate and that I'm coaching people on how to get the job that they want, and that I'm making sure that the resumes match the job that they're going for.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the biggest portion of it. So once I make the resume match, I make sure that the articulation matches when they get into this interview, and they're able to talk the lingo and say those key points that the recruiter or the hiring manager is wanting to hear. So I coach all of that with my people whenever I'm hiring them as well.
Oh, okay. So how are you getting your people? Yeah, I mean, you're running a staffing company, and then you
Uh-huh.
got to hire staff. So how are you getting your people?
So, man, there's so many avenues. And what's crazy is I get most of my people from Facebook. It's crazy. Yeah, people don't, when I tell people that, it's like crazy because Facebook has a job market on it.
Oh,
So, yeah. And so I have subscriptions to all these different job boards that I could go and pull resumes and all of that from. But the biggest responses I get when I post a job is through Facebook
hmm.
on the most.
So do you think that's just because of quantity, just how many people are on Facebook, or people actually just looking on Facebook?
Correct. Yeah, you got, because I mean, think about it. How frequently am I looking on, if I need a job, if I need a job, how frequently throughout the day am I browsing through ZipRecruiter or Career Builder or Indeed? If I'm looking for a job and I was seriously looking for a job, like I need a job, I'm probably going to spend at the most 2 to 3 hours a day looking for that job. You know why? Because the mind says whenever there's something posted, they're gonna think, okay, well, I looked at all of the jobs they had available. They don't think that jobs are being added every minute. They
Mm-hmm.
just think, oh, I looked on ZipRecruiter already. I looked at all of the jobs they had. I looked on Indeed, all the jobs they had, etc. So they're not going back to check those websites.
Mm-hmm.
However, you're on Facebook all day,
Mm-hmm.
much of, I guess, some people, and they're getting alerts to they're scrolling through Facebook, oh, a job, or scrolling through Facebook and there's a bell notification, oh, look, another job. So they're getting that constantly throughout the day, as opposed to ZipRecruiter, Indeed, etc. They're not really getting that engagement. They're getting an email whenever something pops up, and it's a daily email once a day. It's not like every single second that a new job pops up. As opposed to Facebook, they're alerting you every time. They're sending you those alerts. If as soon as when you go on Facebook, as soon as you type a search for a job, no matter what that job is, immediately afterwards, Facebook automatically sends you alerts. Hey, this job you searched for, we have new positions. They do that automatically.
Mm.
So Facebook generates so much more traffic than those do.
So, do you think that Facebook is, I guess, doing the best job at that, other than like any other, social media type thing?
Yes, definitely, because um, even better than LinkedIn, which is crazy because LinkedIn is mostly for professional level roles. So you're not gonna get like you rarely gonna find like a warehouse operator on
Yeah.
LinkedIn because you got CEOs, COOs, etc. on there.
Dang, I never thought about that.
Correct. So Facebook is even blowing out the company that's made for networking for jobs.
Yeah.
They are blowing them out of the water because Facebook has these algorithms set up and these alerts. And also there's a higher volume of people using Facebook than there is in LinkedIn or whatever. So Facebook is blowing literally everybody out of the water when it comes to the job market. And not to also mention, there are buku job groups on Facebook.
Yeah.
If you get an alert every time that they post something in a group.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge fan of LinkedIn. To me, it seems too, I don't know, like stuck up. It's just like the stuck up,
Political.
yeah, political. It's like the stuck up
Mm-hmm.
political friend of Facebook. Like, like
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and LinkedIn could be friends, but one of them's too stuck up. No, that's how.
Uh-huh. That's the
Because I mean, it doesn't seem like people can truly be themselves on there because you're there for business.
mm-hmm.
So like you said, you're not going to see the forklift driver or so, like the trash man looking for
Yep.
a job on LinkedIn.
Nope.
That's a huge game changer. So how long did it take you to figure that out?
Not it actually didn't take long at all because on top of everything, LinkedIn, you have to pay $100 a month to use that service as a recruiter.
Oh wow,
Yeah, Facebook is free.
yeah.
So I found out about Facebook before I found out about how bad LinkedIn sucks
Hmm.
because I posted a job on Facebook, I posted a job on LinkedIn. I had to pay to post that job on LinkedIn. And then after I paid, it was like very low to no traction at all. And Facebook, I'm getting messages and it's jumping. And that was the first go round. So immediately I knew, okay, Facebook is the way. I'm wasting my money over here.
That's so crazy. D-
Uh-huh.
So, do you think that is something that Facebook is? Do you think they might make it better? And like, is it possible? Like, do you think that there's something that they could change to be like to help people out like you?
The only thing that I'm waiting for Facebook to do that will greatly benefit me and other recruiters is to add a freaking resume page.
Mm,
Be- Because on LinkedIn, you can go and search people's profiles. Your profile is your resume.
yeah.
And you type uh managing director, you're gonna pull up all of the managing directors, and all I gotta do is just contact those people.
Mm-hmm.
On Indeed and ZipRecruiter, they actually have resume databases where you could go and you got, I believe, like for example, Indeed, I get 30 credits a month, and ZipRecruiter, I get 25, where I could go and unlock 25 resumes.
Yeah.
That's the most. But if Facebook had a freaking function to where people could just upload their freaking resume, that wouldn't need no freaking ZipRecruiter, none of that. Seriously.
Man, that's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many like small details that certain companies just don't have that it just like blows my mind. Like even things like Twitter. Like Twitter
Mhm.
doesn't have the edit button. You can't like if once you post something, it's just posted. You got to delete it or type it again. I'm just like Twitter, just add an edit button. Chill out. And then they got rid of the quote in the tweet, or they got rid of the retweet, and you could only quote. And I was like, that was stupid. And then they brought back the regular retweet.
Uh-huh.
So certain features like that, companies could definitely capitalize on. How much traffic they're bringing in because people will literally stop using something because it doesn't have certain features
Uh-huh.
or like some people if you're a business person you might prefer Facebook over Instagram, or if you're a comedian or whatever you do you might prefer Twitter over Facebook or something like that. So
Right.
it, it's crazy how you can take certain tools that a website has and then just use them to your advantage. uh,
Mm-hmm.
and what you've seen, how would you say using those tools, like the free tools? So Facebook, you were saying you pay for LinkedIn, but
Uh-huh.
LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, Twitter, those compared to having like an actual website, what do you think is like the main differences between those two?
Oh, there's a lot of main differences because I have a website. Um, but you have to have, so with the way websites work, there's this search engine optimization that is involved in the whole algorithm of where your website lands on this search when you go and Google or Bing it or whatever. And um, from that, you really don't get as much traction and as these other tools that you have, because like I have on my page on my website, I have those jobs, those same jobs are posted.
Hmm.
I zero, I get zero applicants on my website,
Oh,
but I get a lot of applicants on ZipRecruiter and Facebook,
yeah.
um, and Indeed. I get applicants on Indeed as well, on but this is the difference though. On Indeed and ZipRecruiter, those are applicants I'm initiating a conversation with.
Yeah.
I'm going to them and saying, hey, I think you'll be a great fit for this. Apply here. But on Facebook, I just posted a job and I got people in my inbox.
Mm,
Um, so compared to the website, my own website, you have to literally pay. Um, you have to pay some good money for somebody to manipulate the SEOs well enough to where you could at least be found in the first place.
yeah.
But then again, no one's like searching your company to find a job. They are searching those job boards to find a job. So that's where the advantage comes in. That
How much legwork do you actually have to do? Like, are you mainly in the office, or do you have to like go out and go do stuff, talk to people? What's the, I guess, a ratio of how much you're in the office compared to doing actual legwork?
since I actually started this during COVID, it's all virtual.
Okay.
Um, the majority of it is literally being on the phone. Before all of this, and this was another thing that kind of challenged me, because before I even started this, I hated talking on the phone. But that's literally where all of the bread and butter comes from. I have to call candidates, I have to call companies to advertise my service,
Hmm.
because really, like, an email is very bland. You're not making an impact via email,
Yeah.
but at least putting a voice to it. I wish I could go to these companies, pull up on them, and be like, "Hey, let me talk to you real quick," because I feel like that would make the most impact. But I found much more success from calling people than just sending them emails and contacts on LinkedIn. I
Mm.
have 500 connections on LinkedIn and have gotten zero business from LinkedIn.
Oh
Literally.
God, that's so crazy.
I get people that say, "Oh yeah, we have this position, and can you send us a contract?" And you send them one, and you don't hear from them.
Mm.
Keep calling them, you don't hear from them. But when I call people, cold call people, I usually get every out of every 20 to 50 calls, I'm getting at least one contract from it. So
Oh wow.
that's yeah, it's way better to just get a call. And I think it'll be even better if you could just pull up.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you say is your biggest difficulty right now? Like what's something that you feel like you wish you had a more of a breakthrough with your business?
Marketing.
Really?
That's yes, marketing is that main thing because it requires so much work on its own.
Hmm.
Um, I actually I'll spend a day recruiting candidates, or I'll spend a day calling clients. But then where do you factor in the time to engage on social media and get your name out there? Because you can call and be like, yeah, level up staffing. Level up who? Like, you know, and like, how do you become a household name without marketing? So
Yeah.
you have to be able to market yourself, but that's something that I suck at, because I'm not really heavy into social media, um, and I haven't invested anything in the marketing piece, meaning I haven't paid for ads and stuff. So that's something that I started on this week actually, and that's something that I'm working on right now is creating that discipline to post every day or at least every other day, and then also to put some money behind putting my name out there so that these companies are seeing me.
Would you rather continue to do that yourself for the time being, or would you think about getting somebody to come in and be a marketing person for you?
Yeah, I definitely will be hiring a marketing person as I continue to grow, because that's an aspect of the business that I'm not interested in.
Yeah.
It's that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And since I'm interested in it, I always put it on the back burner.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I've always been a do it all type person. I do, music and the podcast and all these things that I'm just got my hands in. I
Mhm.
sometimes forget like, oh, I could just so I make beats and also rap. Instead of just instead of trying to make a beat and rap over it, I could just buy a beat and that just eliminated so much time right there. And I'm just like, oh,
Yes.
it,
Yes.
it just kills you because you can save money by just doing it yourself, but at the same time you can make more money by saving time and then being able to just condense all that and like, oh, I just I just spent 4 hours when I used to spend 8 and 12 hours on something by
Correct.
hiring somebody else to do it for me.
Right. Yes, exactly. And that's something else that like I'm real strong in is buying your time. Like, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, for example, and they talked about, the rich buy their time and the poor sell their time.
Mm,
And basically talking about how when you go to work and you're working for a living, you're selling your time. When you're working for someone,
yeah.
because you're on them to pay you so that they can uh, go and do the things that they want to do.
Hmm.
Um, so and you're making them money. So that's the one of the biggest things. So like I know I'm disciplined and focused on making sure I hire people that can bring me that wealth, bring that value to the company, especially where the areas where I have opportunities for improvement.
Yeah. So where'd you get the name?
Level up staffing.
Yeah.
I actually came up with that same day whenever he texted me,
Oh.
and yeah, was like, dang, I just leveled up his career, and then all of a sudden, yeah, like did that just happen? Oh my gosh, level up. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you didn't like, try to put too much into it, which is good. Like as I said,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thinking about it too much. You know, like some people will
Mm-hmm.
overthink. I actually have stocks in one company, and I'm not sure how old the company is, but they just recently changed their name. Like I was looking at my Robinhood, and I was like, "What is this company?" And I was like, "Oh, that was this other company." So
Yeah.
crazy when companies just change their name all of a sudden because it's you know you started with one thing, then you just go to something else, and
Uh-huh.
that that identity type thing is what buys people into your company. Like when people can create an identity. Imagine if Apple just changed their name.
Right.
How
Right.
weird would that be?
Yeah.
So
Very.
yeah, I don't know. I definitely value I like the names of stuff. So Romero Records is the name of my company, and I came up with that because it's my dad's name and it's my middle name. So I wanted something that identified with me, but I also
Mm-hmm.
wanted something that um, basically just seemed more personal because it had a name in it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was something that I didn't just create some, just put a couple words together and make it sound professional. I just wanted to be something simple that somebody could relate to. Uh,
Right.
which makes me think: is there is there a certain thing that you want to identify with Level Up Staffing, as far as like, um, certain companies they always have that thing that people know them for. Is there something specific you want people to know Level Up Staffing for?
The only thing that I aspire for them to people to know about our company is that we give people opportunities and we put people first.
Hmm.
A lot of staffing agencies, they do what I told you I started off doing. They see that number and they just want to put a spot there,
Hmm.
because it's income.
Yeah.
But I'm intentional on finding those people who have not had opportunities to be successful in life
Yeah.
and mold them to get to where they're trying to go. So we actually invest our time in people. We offer leadership development. We offer computer development skills, and we actually take that time, that one-on-one, that personal time with each person to make sure that they're getting the best opportunity that they can, and also are working with them even through that opportunity to get them to that next level. So that's it for me. Because so just some background information about myself. Coming from New Orleans, when I came to Texas, the thing that drove me to Texas was before I came here, I was actually on house arrest. I had done house arrest for about 6 months,
Hmm.
and to that I had went to jail. I used to have dreadlocks. I used to have gold teeth, and I just saw me becoming a product of my environment.
Oh, yeah.
And so I said, when I get out of this house arrest, I need to change the scene and I need to start over.
Hmm.
And I did that. I literally came to Texas with a U-Haul freaking truck, and that was it. U-Haul truck, $800.
Yeah.
Because the car we had, it was my girlfriend at the time. The car we had, the engine went out literally the week before we were supposed to be coming to Texas. And so we got a U-Haul, drove the U-Haul out here, and when we got a car and we got out here, she cried because that was one of the raggediest cars ever. $700, $800 for a car. It was like a Buick LeSabre, and so cried, and it was so crazy because the people who sold us the car actually allowed us to give them the car back and gave us our money back because yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So, but what was crazy is humbling experience. What's crazy is we ended up getting a Chevy Lumina. Like that was something better.
wow.
The very first day, because my very first job out here was working at Walmart in the garden center, making $7.95 an hour when it was 110 degrees in Texas, watering freaking plants. And in my very first day on the job there, the engine on that car, it overheated, and I don't know what happened. I
Mm.
was on, I couldn't get back to work. I just knew I was about to get fired. I ended up getting a car junked for $200,
Mm.
and got to the point where I had to trade all of the furniture that we bought with us down from Louisiana, traded that for a car. And we ended up with a 91 Oldsmobile Regency that was missing a fender, missing a grill, missing a window. Like that thing was shot, but but it rolled smooth in a mug though. And so from that experience though, I just knew that I wanted to change the narrative and I wanted to change my life around. But then when I got into this, that brought me back to that experience. How there are people out there that's probably going through the same things that I experienced in my early phases of my career. And I want to make sure that I'm there to be a aid for them to get to the next level as well.
Mm. So earlier you were talking about being with your friends and y'all were staying up late talking about things. Have any of them been influential in your current business as far as have they had their hands in the business helping you out with certain things, or has it been more just they just talk about it?
Man, you know what's crazy? I was just telling me and my wife were just talking about this. How and it may just be my friends, I don't know, but uh, it was crazy to me because I was just thinking about how you have how strangers would support you way more than your friends and family. We I had man, this is crazy. I'm gonna be quick with this. I had a friend who it was like a brother to me actually, who I had offered. We were going to go into real estate together,
Hmm.
and it was his idea. It was his idea. He wanted to do real estate, and I was just like, "Bet, let's do it. Um, let's open the account up and let's put some money to on the side, and let's just get this thing done." So I actually set up the account and everything, and got us to a point where we were like, I was supporting his vision,
Yeah.
right? So by the end of the year, though, the mat wasn't looking right because I was just like, by the end of the year, we're gonna have $5,000 based on the amount that we saving together. And
Hmm.
you want this investing next year. And the way he wanted to invest was he wanted to buy rehab properties, fix them up, and flip them.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, logically, how you gonna do that with $5,000?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, especially without getting a loan, right? So he's just thinking like optimistically that we just gonna get these grants and government money and we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
And I'm just, dude, that's not realistic. So I had to bring him back down and I had a conversation with him. I was like, hey, how about we take the scenic route, get into where we're trying to go? I said, let's take the five, we know we're gonna end up with 5K at the end of the year. Let's invest that into something that's gonna generate income that compounds, that'll get us to the point where we could actually use our own money to get into these houses and
Mm.
get that like that, right? I was like, man, even if we selling buttons, I don't care. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that we're taking the money we have and we're investing it in something that can help us get to where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fast forward, he's like, he wasn't feeling that at all. He just had his mindset just properties or whatever. And I was like, all right, well then you figure out how you're gonna get these properties. I'm gonna go ahead and take my half and I want to start the staffing business.
Mm.
And when I started it, when I was about to start it, I even went back to him and I was like, hey, I know that this thing is going to provide some real good income. I would like for you to partner with me on it. It's like, oh no, man, I'll just stick to what I'm doing and I'll pass. 3 months later, I made over 100K in this business.
Nice.
And even then, I have literally not had the amount of support from that I would have expected from my friends,
Hmm.
um, as I have had from strangers. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was a very thought provoking experience because here I was ready. I was gung ho, ready to. He said he wanted to invest in properties. I'm with it. Like if he would have said he wanted to invest and buy buttons, we'd have been doing it or whatever. But whenever it was my idea, it was the opposite end. It was like, I don't really know, type of thing. So yeah, I don't get that support. Even though we have these conversations and we very intellectual individuals, which I don't hold it against them. I just realize that, that's not something that you can expect from everyone, that same level of commitment that you'll provide to them.
Yeah, and I mean, even not even just friends. Like, it's sometimes just hard to get people to, I guess, um, buy into what you're thinking and like in your ideas. My,
Mm-hmm.
I guess my biggest thing is trying to find people who have the same intensity and the same kind of passion that you have, because so right now, me and my friend Ryan, so we did a podcast together and then an in-person podcast, and but now like me and him are thinking about opening up a studio together, and he was like, man, it's refreshing just having somebody who is just as passionate about something that I am. And
Yeah.
when you can't find somebody like that, it kind of deters you, and then you
Uh-huh.
end up not even wanting to do the thing that you thought you wanted to do. So I applaud you for even not only just starting the business, but doing it by yourself. Like you tried to bring somebody else with you, and they you know turned you down. So it's incredible that you started it first off, and then when somebody else, that you could have felt negative about the business altogether when
Mm-hmm.
somebody else wasn't down to be there with you. So it's it's definitely says a lot about how much faith you have in your business and where you see it going. I don't know if you've ever heard the story. I don't even remember what I was listening. I think I was listening to a podcast or something, but somebody was talking to Mark Zuckerberg, and he, I want to say he had like, I don't know, like 10 people on staff for Facebook when it was like first started. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
some company offered him, it was like 100 million or like $1 billion at one point. They wanted Facebook and they were going to offer to buy it from him, and he turned it down. And I think like more than half the employees that he had, which weren't a lot, they left because they were like, if this dude's going to turn down that money, he's going to run this company into the ground. And
Mm-hmm.
look at Facebook now. Yeah, so it's it's definitely difficult to be successful when other people aren't supporting you,
Yeah.
but it's rewarding when you realize what you've accomplished, by yourself. Uh, you, but we as people tend to want to share that
Mm-hmm.
joy and that success with other
Yeah.
people. Do
You
you?
hit it.
Yeah. Do you have any people that you feel like you want to bring on, but you don't know if they would be interested, or they've been putting you off?
No, actually, this experience with that friend I was telling you about, actually, it helped me realize that, one, I don't want to put anyone on. I don't want to force my opportunities on anyone. I
Mm.
don't want them to feel like they have to do something.
Yeah,
Um, but I do want to help people grow that want to help me grow.
yeah.
So I have a guy, like the recruiter I just hired. This was somebody I actually met on Clubhouse.
Oh
It's a
wow.
guy that's insane. Don't know this guy. All I know is that he was super inspired by what I was doing.
Mm,
What I And he just wanted to pour into me, and I eventually ended up doing the same to him. So he wanted to help. He was like, "Man, anything that I could do to help you, I'm down for it. I just want to see you succeed."
mm,
And and I'm just like, "No, you know what? I want to see you succeed too. Here's an opportunity."
mm.
That's where we ended up at. So way it's a way different ball game now, whereas I'm not going to, especially seeing the success that I'm seeing,
Yeah.
because I know too that people that want will show interest now, that I know that are close to me, they will only be showing that interest because they see the success.
Mm.
So I wouldn't even consider anybody around me now because I did open it up to people. I even asked my sister if she would just make calls for me, um, and I would pay her based on each contract that I got. And then like this guy, I even came back to him and offered him a job. Was successful, but because I wasn't offering him half of my company, he didn't want it. So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So now I wouldn't offer, especially now that I'm still climbing.
Yeah, yeah.
The higher I climb, the further away I am from offering anybody near me any opportunities,
Mm,
because no one wanted to help me climb this hill
yeah.
except strangers were just throwing them. Hey, how can I help? What can I do? Strangers my posts. Strangers are telling their friends about me, telling their job, telling their bosses, etc. about me. And the friends, they'll probably like every comment or every now and then or whatever. So big difference. Big difference.
What do you think that is? Like, so did DeAndre tell you how me and him know each other?
Yeah, He told me the story. Yeah.
So I would say I don't know if I'm friendly, but I tend to like to just talk to people, get to know their story, and then if they need help, I'll help them, whatever.
Uh
But
huh.
um, it it seems like that's the case with everything. So even in the I follow a lot of people in music on Instagram, and a lot of
Hmm.
them say the same thing. Like strangers support them more than their own
Hmm.
friends and people from their hometown and stuff like that. Well,
Yeah.
what do you think that is? Is that just people? Is that just people wanting to be a part? Like they don't know your background, they don't know your history, they just see what you're currently doing. Is it that, or is it? I don't know.
I divided it up into three factors that I believe it is. Because I find it predominantly in the African American community.
Hmm.
In other communities for other races, they support their people. Like you say you want to do something, they gung ho about it and they gonna throw every dollar they have at you. Um, you even have some cultures where they all put money in a pot
Hmm.
and give it to you to get to your goals.
Yeah.
So I predominantly that's the biggest portion of it. I think that's predominantly the African American culture, and
Hmm.
that's what I call the crab in the bucket mentality.
Hmm.
Um, we, for some reason, or not for some reason, I believe that this goes all the way back to our roots, that slave mentality,
Hmm.
and it like political or anything like that. But I believe it's more so to our roots of our slave days, where you had the division of us, and actually there was a drive for us to hate each other.
Hmm.
Oh, and so I think that deep rooted culture that we have is still here today, and we don't know why. It's kind of like this. There was a story I read about these monkeys. They put all of these monkeys in a cage and they put bananas at the top with a ladder. And what they would do is, anytime a monkey tried to get up to the bananas, they would squirt them with water. And eventually, they got all of the monkeys to not want to climb up that ladder to get the bananas because they were afraid of being squirted with water.
Hmm.
What what they ended up doing was they would put a new monkey into the environment and take one monkey out, put a new monkey in. The new monkey would see the bananas and he would try to climb that ladder, and the monkeys around him would pull him down
Oh my God.
because they didn't want him to get squirted by the water. So
Wow.
eventually, one by one, so that monkey that kept getting pulled down, he just knew not to go up there for whatever reason.
Hmm.
So actually, they took another monkey out. They put a new monkey in, and at the end of this experiment, it was all brand new monkeys, and none of those monkeys would climb that ladder, and none of them knew why. And I believe that's our culture that we have. We started off getting punished for certain things.
Yeah.
And we started protecting each other, like, hey, don't do that, master gonna get you, don't do that. And eventually now we're at the day and age where we're doing these things and we don't even know why we're doing them. Why don't we like to see each other grow? Why don't we support each other? Why don't we try our best to push each other up? And it's probably because back during the day where when one of us did do something to get to the next level, he was the house being promoted to house nigga, and not a lot of those qualified to get to that level. So it was dog eat dog to get to that. So now that dog eat dog mentality that you had to get promoted to house nigga is now the mentality that we have currently. We don't want another person to get to that house nigga that before we do or whatever. And I think that is majority where it is. But I was telling you the three different things. The other side of it is a lot of times people can't forget your past. Like I said, I have a background. I mean, I'm not a background like that, but I do have a background, and people that are close to you, they remember who you were, and they don't try to know who you're becoming.
Yeah.
And they basically rationalize who you were or what you're trying to do and say, that ain't you.
Yeah.
You robbed this, or you used to hang on the corner and do that. Like, you ain't no church guy, so they try to diminish your value based on who you are. And that's the other piece of it. And I believe the very last piece of it is just the whole thing of jealousy. If a lot of us, a lot of times we make ourselves feel better about the things we're not happy with in our lives by looking at the other people's failures. So, for example, if I am not happy with what I'm doing, I will feel better by saying, well, at least I'm not, like, for example, if I was an alcoholic, at least I ain't smoking that crack or whatever, and it's more so of us trying to diminish the value of each other because we're not what we're doing, where we're at. And those are the three different things I think is really it boils down to.
Man, that monkey story is crazy because that 1000% makes sense. I mean, black people weren't supposed to read back when we were
slaves. Correct.
If you saw somebody trying to read or anything like that when they weren't supposed to, you'd be like, hey, don't do that.
Huh? And crazy though about that is even to present day, people will make fun of the black people will make fun of each other for reading. Yeah. Oh man, you a nerd.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like how because I'm reading, but that equates to it. We weren't supposed to be reading, and now if we have education, we're mocked for it because that was considered a white privilege back then in the day. Now, what's crazy is when you do something that is proper or that will promote your success, they label you as being or acting white.
Yeah.
If you talk proper, if you articulate your words, or if you are very knowledgeable about a certain subject, they call you a nerd, and they talk you down and they say that you're acting white. You're improving yourself, and that's that whole mentality, like I was saying.
Yeah, I've always hated, like, the terms you act black or you act white and stuff like that. I'm just like, that's so stupid.
Man, that's one of my pet peeves. I hate when people say that. Yes.
I mean, as we were just talking about, like, black people, we weren't allowed to do so many things, and when somebody does do something, they make something out of their life, it should be celebrated, and it should be like every time somebody black does something great, it should be like a floodgate being opened, and people are like, oh snap, he did it, I can do it too.
Exactly.
But instead, people are seeing it like, well, he only got it because, or something like
that. Yes.
I mean, do you think that you would be where you are now if you hadn't had the history that you had?
No, I definitely wouldn't, because I mean, it started way, 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 way young. So when I was 7, my dad went to prison. Uh, and then afterwards, shortly after that, my grandfather passed away. And that's the side of my family. My dad's side of my family is the side that I actually felt most connected to. And when he went to prison, I basically lost a whole family, like literally. I stopped seeing my grandmother, and all of my cousins and all of that. I never saw them afterwards because he was the key to getting me to see that portion of the family that I would see weekly or biweekly or whatever. That family that I had grown accustomed to was taken away from me basically. And so from that point, I believe that actually gave me some insight to this world. Like it really fostered some things in me that helped me see the world differently and see that, it's a cold world, originally that's how I thought. It's a cold world.
Yeah.
But I realized that going through those things actually equipped me with the the skin to be able to handle the worst things. So it made me kind of fearless in a sense. Like I said, when I go in for something, I'm jumping. Um, and it's a poor analogy, but literally, like the other day, I realized that I was up on the 11th or 12th floor of this building, and it was kind of like outside. And I noticed that I still had a fear of heights. And immediately, I went to the edge and looked down or whatever. Like I was scared, but I went and did it because I'm like challenging myself to conquer my fears. And I believe that scenario of the things that happened to me young is what instilled that in me, like to just get over and conquer your fears. So no, if I hadn't been through half of the things that I've been through, I wouldn't even be half of who I am today.
Yeah, I think the key to being a progressive person is to constantly make yourself uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
If you're constantly comfortable, you're not going to progress. And
Yep.
being able to understand what you're uncomfortable with. So, like when you realize, oh, shoot, I'm high up,
Mm-hmm.
that needs to click in people's head. And then the next thing that needs to click is, how do I not be afraid of heights? What do I need to go do? And like people talk about, it's much better to have courage than it is to just not be afraid of anything, because
Right.
people view somebody with courage as somebody who is relatable. Like, yes, they are afraid to do this, but they did it anyways.
Uh-huh.
Better than somebody who's like, oh, I could do that, and then they just do it. And it's like, well, it's nothing special. you
Right.
already you already could have did it.
Yeah.
I, I definitely believe that that's a lot of people's issue with being successful, is just it's not taking on those things that they're afraid of and then just doing it.
Yeah.
Uh, so with level up staffing, what is something that you are looking forward to in the future? Like, is it just growing? I don't know if it's, are you international? Like, what's going on that you feel like, ooh, I can't wait till this happens?
Yep. My major goal that I'm focused on is I want to be in all of the contingent states of the United States. So
Okay.
um, all the ones that's connected, I want to be in every single one. So that's my major goal, and that's something that I'm focused on this year.
You got to get in
Um,
Hawaii and take some business trips.
yeah, exactly. That'll be cool, but that's the big focus, is to get into more states. Like I said, I'm in 9 states right now, and I'm just trying to expand, make it a household name.
That's awesome. So what's the best way people can reach you and like get all the information they need? Is that going to be like, we talked about Facebook. Is that going to be Facebook, or is that going to be some other avenue?
I'm actually on all platforms. My website is levelupstaffingllc.com. But for Instagram it's at Level Up Staffing LLC. And then for Twitter, it's Level Up Staff, and then Facebook, it's Level Up Staffing. So Yeah, I'm on all handles. I'm on Clubhouse, everywhere, literally.
Awesome. Well, it was great talking to you, Eddie. Learned a lot, stories and everything about you, and hopefully get to meet you sometime.
Yeah,
He keeps bothering me about coming down to Texas. I'm like, all right, yes, I'll I'll come.
you come down, you'll have a great time with us.
No doubt, no doubt. Well,
We'll cook and make you feel.
he's a big seafood guy. Is that what's your specialty? Is that seafood?
Yes, yes, yes. Same.
Okay.
But he all his seafood and grill. I'm more of the Cajun roux and all of that stuff, rice and pastas. I'm that side of it.
Okay.
I actually cook.
Oh man, I can't wait till he sees that. Oh, well, all right, man. Yeah, it's been great talking to you. Can't wait to meet you. Come down there and we'll chop it up sometime.
Yes, sir. It was great talking to you too. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, no doubt. Thank you everybody for tuning in and see you next time.